DC already knows that Aquaman 2 will be a disaster at the box office. They already know, and they've already decided not to flush any more money down the toilet by attempting to market this movie. Shazam 2, Black Adam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, all box office failures. And now this. Let's talk about it. Aquaman was DC's highest grossing film of all time. And that's not just including the DCEU. That includes the Christian Bale Batman movies. Yes, Aquaman made more money than The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises, the Justice League, you get the picture. So with that kind of success, you'd think that Warner Bros. Would be shoving the sequel down our throats with ads. So where are they? Well, the trailer just released last Thursday, 100 days before release of the film. This is not common. Basically, what happened is people started asking the question, where the hell is the trailer? And then articles began to circulate. Aquaman 2 canceled. Warner Bros. Isn't spending money on marketing for Aquaman 2. Aquaman 2 doomed to fail, blah blah blah. And then on Sunday, Warner Bros. Released a teaser trailer for the trailer. Likely because they had started to see rumors fluttering about and they wanted to shut people up. And then, as we know, the trailer was released Thursday the 14th. This doesn't change the fact that there is a noticeable lack of marketing for this film, and here's why. The most common rumor seems to be that Warner Bros. Has given up on the film because they know the film is bad. I've seen this title more than a few times, and I actually don't agree with this take. I certainly think Warner Bros. Has given up on the film, but not because they think it's bad, but because they know it's not going to make them money. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. I definitely don't think it's going to be good, but that's neither here nor there. Comic book movies don't break the box office anymore. But this is a pretty lackluster comment to make when looking at DC films. I mean, these things just don't stand a chance anymore, it seems. Obviously, superhero films had already started to fall off after the release of Endgame. The DCEU never quite found its footing anyhow, and with the recent announcement of James Gunn's new DC Studios, there's just seemingly no reason to go see these movies in theaters anymore. James Gunn and Peter Safran are set to do a soft reboot of DC in 2025. This announcement was made after most of the recent DC releases had already finished production. The money was already spent, so it seemed like they just decided to go ahead and release these films even though they really had no part in James Gunn's future vision for the franchise. These films include, as stated earlier, Black Adam, Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and now Aquaman 2 is on its way. The first four I listed all lost money, every single one. And honestly, they weren't all half bad. They weren't exactly half good either, pretty run-of-the-mill superhero content. What the studio would refer to as safe. However, little did they know at the time of production that superhero films would fall off hard. And now, with fans being made aware of plans for a DC film and television reboot, there's not a lot of incentive to go see these movies. We know it's all going away in 2 years. And while James Gunn talked a big game for these last few films, especially Blue Beetle, he's a company guy now. And we know that these movies really have no place in his plans for what's to come. Now, I'm not saying that what's to come is going to be much better. I do have more faith in James Gunn to create a solid DC universe than most. He's got a solid resume when it comes to superhero content, including Guardians and the Suicide Squad. So who knows, maybe it'll be awesome. I just can't imagine fans pining for more superhero stuff even in 2025. Hard to imagine the future of DC looking any less bleak than it does now. But really my point is that Warner Bros. Knows all these things. They may be putting a lot of faith in Gunn and Safran when it comes to the future of DC, but when it comes to these releases such as Aquaman 2, they know it's not going to do particularly well. So why spend the money on marketing? The budget is already huge. The budget was reported by The Hollywood Reporter to have reached $205 million before reshoots. Then there were reshoots. Then James Gunn and Peter Safran came and consulted and changed some things. More reshoots. So it's safe to assume the production budget hit at least $250 million, maybe more. And for those who don't know, that's a lot, way too much. There are only 5 Marvel movies with a budget of $250 million or more. Warner Bros. Did a massive marketing campaign for The Flash, and look how that turned out. A budget of $300 million and a box office take of $268 million worldwide. Reported by BGR to quite possibly be one of the biggest box office flops in history. The reason for this being, if you want to try and calculate the true budget for a movie, You look at the production budget, double that for marketing, and then consider the fact that the studio doesn't take 100% of ticket sales, they gotta split that with the theaters, so basically The Flash needed to make close to $1 billion to turn a profit for Warner Bros. Oops. Yeah, marketing's expensive. And why market something that's already doomed to fail? I think this movie actually could make a little bit of money if they don't spend too much on marketing, which clearly they aren't. Everybody loves Jason Momoa, and it's technically the last movie in the DCEU before it turns into Gunn's thing. So there is some incentive for fans to show up. The thing is, the guy over at Warner Bros. Discovery running the place, David Zaslav, he's a money guy, and he was hired because Warner Bros. Was in deep financial duty. When he became CEO back in 2021, he slashed a bunch of stuff. He canceled shows, films, some of which had even finished production, such as Batgirl. And Zaslav said, nope, not happening. He also made some comments about focusing on franchises, the properties that made Warner Bros. Successful in the first place, name-dropping the likes of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, DC. So it's not so much a rumor that the marketing isn't happening for Aquaman 2. It's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to mitigate financial loss. This is to be expected given the current state of the DCEU. Just too bad they didn't figure this out sooner. Given how long it took for the trailer to release, rumors had began to stir about the movie not even being released at all. Obviously, we know at this point that indeed it will be released, but I wouldn't have put it past Zaslav to nope this one out of existence as well. Aquaman 2 may have a fighting chance, but there's a number of factors pushing back. You've got the fact that fans just aren't that interested in superhero films anymore, the lack of fan base for the DCEU in general, which is aggressively falling off, the fact that a DC film hasn't made a profit in quite some time, and you've got Amber Heard. Warner Bros. Is obviously well aware of the world's collective dislike of this woman, given that she shows up in the trailer for a whopping 0.2 seconds. Nobody likes Amber Heard, and for good reason. Haven't you heard? I'm sure you have. Anyways, there was a pretty big push to get her fired from the movie after the Depp Heard trial. Warner Bros. Obviously decided against this, similar to them deciding to leave Ezra Miller as the Flash after he threw a chair at a woman's head, broke into someone's house, made sexual advances toward a minor, and many other things. Seriously, you should Google his shenanigans. Dude is a train wreck. And not to mention the fact that a soft reboot has been announced by James Gunn, and we know that this film likely won't go anywhere. A film shouldn't rely on the guarantee of a sequel, but we certainly do live in a time where that plays a major factor in the success of a film. Brand recognition, franchises, extended universes. Anyhow, guess we'll see what happens. If you like this sort of content, consider subscribing and liking the video. If you love this sort of content, consider becoming a member. See you in the next one.